Hello, welcome to our series on integrated project delivery. If you're new to the channel, my name is James Pease. I've been an owner's rep in the design and construction industry for more than 20 years. And 10 of those years I spent using integrated project delivery to deliver complex healthcare projects in Northern California. So this series talks about integrated project delivery, and this specific video is going to talk about change orders. The reason I wanted to focus on change orders is because this is one area where integrated project delivery is truly different than other delivery models. And the reason for that is the scope of allowed change orders in an integrated project delivery agreement is significantly less than what could be considered a change order in a GMP, CM at risk, or a lump sum type agreement. So the three types of change orders that would result in an increase in contract value, where the owner would increase the design and construction cost that the team is contracted for, are agency changes. And what this means is an authority having jurisdiction, a permitting agency, a regulatory agency, changes a requirement after the project is well into design. And this is not an anticipated one, like where code cycles change and we know it's coming and you have access to the information ahead of time. This is like a fuel tank requirement change that happens after the fuel tanks are already designed or already purchased and a new regulation comes out. So that would be an increase to the contract value if there was a scope increase. And that's because the owner has the risk as the overall developer and benefactor from the completed project. Discovered site conditions is also grounds for a change order. Now this is discovered site conditions that are not readily discoverable with standard pre-construction practices. So it doesn't mean just because we've removed a ceiling tile and we found a piece of ductwork is not where it shows on the as-built, because we could have removed the ceiling tile and looked at that. It does cover things like if you've done a significant amount of soil borings and when you're in excavation you happen to find a spring or a well or a large deposit of rock that did not show up in any of the borings, that would be grounds for increasing the contract for the team. The way I personally handle this is I ask the team, okay, what concerns do you have? What areas do you need to investigate to make sure that we don't have any discovered site conditions? And any areas that I can't give them access to, like certain rooms in a hospital they may not be able to get into until we actually start construction, I'll try to bracket those and say, okay, discovered site conditions are a risk, but only within this room or within these group of rooms or within this wall. Anything else the team has responsibility for. And the goal is to push everybody to do the appropriate level of investigation and not to just proceed with design knowing that any differences are a guaranteed change order in the future. And then the last and most common change is an owner scope change. So the vast majority of change orders on an IPD job, or any project for that matter, are when the owner changes the scope. This is especially common in healthcare, where the duration of the jobs are longer than the regular iterative cycles of, say, imaging equipment gets updated more often than we can design and build a building. So it's very common that we will change the imaging equipment near the end of construction to make sure we're installing the most current technology, which often means that conduits change, power changes, mechanical changes, structural changes. So all of those would be quantified and the owner would increase the contract value when they increase the scope of a job. The other thing is if the owner removes scope from the job, then that might reduce the scope and reduce the contract value. Another common owner change is if there's shelved space in a project, but you decide during construction you're going to build that shell space out, then that very obviously means the team gets an increase in contract value. So the flip side, what I didn't cover is errors and omissions, coordination issues, means and methods, material substitutions. None of those are grounds for a change order within an IPD contract. Now, because in earlier videos we covered the team has a guaranteed cost, they will get paid for those issues. So if there's a mistake, the team gets paid for it. They don't do the work for free, and there's a contingency to cover that. and should the contingency be exhausted, there's a profit pool, and ultimately the owner will cover it, but it does not increase the contract value, which means that the team is essentially at risk for those types of changes. Now in practice, what it means is the owner is not spending the majority of their time trying to get the base job done. They're not reviewing every single RFI and trying to determine whose fault it was. The design and construction team is not writing every single email trying to protect themselves from having to do work for free. What that means is the owner spends the majority of their time working with their stakeholders and figuring out what owner changes might cost and how they would affect the job. So they get to work on integrating change into the project without disrupting the flow and schedule of the project, as opposed to spending the majority of their time fighting or arguing with the team about why they have to pay more to get the original intended scope of the project. So that's a high-level summary. If you found this informative, please subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos. And as always, leave a comment if I missed something or you want to add something. Happy to engage and create future videos. Thank you very much.